Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Rocky for Rocky Reviews, and today we're going to take a look at Tiny Tanks. Welcome back everybody. As I said, today we're going to be taking a look at Tiny Tanks. Now, Tiny Tanks is a game by Carl Huber. His own publishing company is called Natural 20 Games, and he did this in 2018. It is available on the Game Crafter for $39.99, but this is the deluxe version. It comes in a base game, and I'll explain that in a moment, but there's a base game, a deluxe version, and kind of a bigger, more complex version of it. And we're going to have a look at the deluxe version today. So why don't we have a look at the table? Now this game is pretty slick. It's a small lightweight skirmish game that plays in about 10 minutes actually, so much less than 30. But you only break those down so far. It has a base game included with it, and the base game is all the cards that go in the poker box. It's a 54 card deck that includes the instruction cards, these action cards, and the tank cards. And if you buy just the base game, you have to supply your own 10 by 10 grid in some way to mark your tanks and maneuver your tanks around, and a D6. Other than that, you'll have everything you need in these cards. Now there's a couple different types of cards. There are 4 instruction cards. These are single-sided instruction cards. And there are 6 tank types, including things like the fireball. But the tank type basically tells the difference between the various firing patterns. So if you look at these cards, where you see the red marked squares, that is the locations you can hit. So an opposing tank has to be in one of those locations in relation to your tank in order for you to be able to hit them. And then you have action cards. Now there are several different kinds of action cards in here. Most of the ones you'll see with green are movement. And these green movement cards, there's also some that will be like an anti-tank mine that will prevent a tank from being able to move but still be able to turn. Things like a landmine. There's even one in here that permanently changes your firing pattern on your card. Whoops. They change the game a bit. So at the beginning of the game, you will get 3 of these action cards. And this is going to be private information, right? So you'll keep those secret. And then you will get a tank card, and you'll draw a tank card randomly. But the tank card you draw, you have to put so everybody can see what it is, so they know what your firing pattern is. In this case, this is the Wraith. And then you'll choose the color you want to be, and you will put your tank on any square on your side of the board. Your opponents will do the same. And the whole idea is to maneuver your tank using your steps. Now, the steps you get to do, you can pick 2 of these. You can either play an action card, move 4 spaces, and a 90-degree turn counts as one of those moves, or fire. So what you would do is you say, okay, I want to move my 4 spaces. I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, and your opponent will do that. And if you want to fire, your opponent has to be in one of the red squares. If they're facing you, which I believe is, I kind of interpret it as line of sight, but if they're facing you, they are harder to hit, apparently. So if the tank is facing you, you need to roll a 1 to 3 on a D6 to hit them. If they're not facing you, you need a 1 to 5 on a D6 to hit them. And really, the first time a tank is hit, it's done. You flip it over and it's now just an obstacle. That is all there is to playing the game. Last person alive wins. So it's really quick and simple. If you've got the components or a spare grid around, it's not a chessboard size. There are 10 squares on this grid. You could probably do it on a chessboard if you wanted to limit it to 8. But yeah, if you want to use your own parts, you can just buy the base game. The components in here, we've talked about Game Crafter cards a lot in the past, and I'm always a fan of the cards. It's good card stock. These are not linen finish. They're just UV coated. So they're very slippery. Now the UV coating from the Game Crafter, remember you could write on it. And if you had a couple blank ones from the Game Crafter, you could probably add your own action cards in here, or even create your own tank types if you wanted to house rule it. He went with the 54 card deck, and obviously there are sheets that manufacturers print games in, and the Game Crafter for poker cards happens to be 54 cards a sheet, which is probably why he did 4 single-sided instruction cards instead of 2 double-sided, and maybe 2 more tank types or 2 more action cards in the game. But it's up to you. I mean, it's your game. You can do what you want to with them. The deluxe version, it uses these custom printed dice, which are pretty cool, as markers for where your tanks are. You could have used chits or tokens, but when you think about it, if you only need 4 of them, right? 4 dice is actually probably more economically viable than necessarily using a whole sheet of punch outs and only needing 4 of them that are 16 millimeters across. So it's a pretty good choice. Now you can, of course, you can get like tanks from the Game Crafter, the plastic tanks. And like I said, this was done a couple years ago. But this is a nice alternative to doing something like tokens or having a plastic miniature. And then the D6. This is just a standard 11 millimeter D6. So that's, a dice to the dice. And he chose to use the square board, right? Now the square board is this nice thick chipboard from the Game Crafter. I've always liked the fact that you can get these nice clean chipboards. He could have gone with a mat. Would have been a little cheaper, maybe a little lighter, but this gives you a nice substantial little board. And the mats tend to, if you're going to put it in the Pro box, which, I mean, we've seen the Pro boxes before, they're pretty big. And a mat, it seems kind of, maybe overkill. But the Pro box from the Game Crafter uses the telescoping boxes instead of the normal sleeve boxes. They're very strong, very durable, good for shipping. Plan the way you do your graphics on the sides of these, because you actually have your bottom graphic and your top graphic actually kind of meet. So it's pretty slick. Nice sturdy little box for this thing. But it's a neat little game, nice components. I like the way he used the dice instead of tokens. That was a neat decision. Because custom dice can be anything, So that's pretty much Tiny Tanks. Quick little game, plays in under 10 minutes. Great skirmish game, great warm-up game. So thank you for checking out the video. Have a look at my channel. I'll be doing some reviews, some playthrough reviews on this. They'll be coming up slowly a little after these, but check that one out. As always, subscribe to this channel, subscribe to the Game Crafter channel, and hit that bell icon. That'll let you know when we post new videos and there might be new information you'd like to see. As always, I'm Rocky for Rocky Reviews, and make awesome things.